the Addicted series. Actually, this is one of the first books I read on my Kindle, and I actually soft DNF'd it. I think I went back like a year later and I finished it, and I remember thinking, I'm glad I went back and finished it. How I really thought about the series since, not really. The only time I think about reading the next book in the series is when I see someone talking about it, which honestly isn't that often anymore. So yeah, I don't know if I will ever continue this series. And this is another series where I'm just like, personally, I don't see the hype. The next book I have, and I've read the first book in the series, and the second book is another Marriage Convenience, and that is the Dreamland Billionaires series. I enjoyed the first book. I do need to continue this series, and I think that I would really like it, and I would be very happy that I finished it when I actually read it. And the final book in that series is a second chance romance, and I love a second chance romance. So both these books that I haven't read yet have tropes that I really enjoy. Series we have, and this is one that I'm not going to continue, and that is the They Both Die at the End. So there's a prequel, and then there's I think 2 other books in this series. Now this book was highly raved about online. I think it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago now. Now I did enjoy this book, however I did think that it was overhyped. I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, and I didn't cry at the end. And I really, like, I am a very emotional person, and I get very attached to characters. So to not cry at a book when I know people were dying at the end, and then read the whole book getting attached to the characters, it was surprising that I hadn't died. Oh my god, I hadn't cried at the end. So yeah, I'm not gonna continue the They Both Die at the End series, mainly because I'm just not interested. And I'm happy to just leave everything where it was and how it is in my memory. On the topic of Adam Silvera's books, I have another series by him that I started reading that I haven't finished, and that is the What If It's Us series. This is a 2-book series, or duology, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoyed the first book, called, funnily enough, What If It's Us, and then the second book is Here's to Us, I believe. It's definitely not a priority on my list, but it is another book on my physical TBR, and I remember being really excited when it came out. I got it when it was like first released, and I haven't read it since. So yeah, and this is a book written with Becky Albertalli, who I will be talking about later on in the video, because there is another one of her books series that I'm going to talk about. So I enjoy both these authors' writing, which is another reason why I want to read these books. But some of these series I need to hurry up and read because they're YA, and so there's some books I just need to hurry up and read before I feel like I've completely grown out of YA. Next up, some more, I believe you'd say this is YA, is the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. I don't remember reading the first book. Part of me thought I had, part of me thought I hadn't. I have apparently, because I read it, rated it 4 stars on Goodreads. I do want to like continue the series. It probably won't be a massive priority. However, I want to start a series where I read the book and then watch the adaptation of it. So I think that it would be a good idea for me to do the second book in this series and then watch the second film, because I haven't watched the second film. The next series is Every Day. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in this series, and then I soft DNF'd the third and final book. Again, this is YA, but this has quite an interesting premise because it is about our main character who wakes up in a different body every day. I feel like when I picked it up, I soft DNF'd it because it just wasn't the right time for the book. Whereas now, again, like I said, I feel like I'm aging out a bit of the YA genre. So I don't know if I would enjoy reading it again, or whether I'll end up DNFing it again. And I think I just want to pick it up and see, because I might get that nostalgic feeling when being back in the world and being with these characters again. And then next up is another YA series, and that is The Start of Me and You. I absolutely loved the first book in this series, which is called The Start of Me and You. This book was one of the books that got me back into reading when I was a teenager. I've always been a reader, but I did go for a few years where I wasn't really reading. I couldn't even tell you why because I don't remember. The second book in the series, called The Map from Here to There, has been on my physical TBR for quite a long time and I still haven't gotten around to it, so I definitely want to give it a go in the next year or so. The Creepwood series, the first book is Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, aka Love, Simon, the film. I ate this book up. I'm pretty sure I've read it multiple times. Absolutely loved it, and I absolutely love the film. Loved it to pieces. Completely adored it. This is the first in, I think, the first book in 3 books, I think it is. And I originally added the other books to my want to read list on Goodreads. However, I don't think I'm gonna read them. Like I said, I'm aging out of YA. I don't feel a major pull to read these books, and I don't have them on my, I don't already own them. The other YA series I've spoken about, I already own the books, so I feel like I need to at least try to read them. So I probably won't read these, but I wish I had read them when I was reading YA, because I feel like I would have quite liked them. The next series, the second book in this series, isn't out yet, and it won't be out until November, and that is the Braided Fate series. So Warrior Princess Assassin is the first book. I, going into this book, didn't know it was gonna be a series. So when I'm getting 2/3 through this book, I'm thinking, this is weird. How are they gonna wrap everything up? I cannot explain to you how freaking excited I am and how desperately I need to read the second book. And I don't know what is going on with my hair today. I really don't know, but just how beautiful is this? I spoke about this in my reading vlog, so yeah, and honestly I yapped about it. But if you, look how beautiful it is. If you like romanticises, read this book. Even if you don't like romanticises, I'm not a massive romantasy person. I have a few romantasy series I really enjoyed. This is probably my favourite ever, and just one of my favourite books of all time. This was a 6-star. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or whether there is going to be more books in the series. The next series we're going to talk about is Bear Town. There is 3 books in this series. We have Bear Town, Us Against You, and then The Winners, I believe is the correct order. And I have been wanting to read this series for quite a while. I read Bear Town at the beginning of this year and I did really enjoy it, and I want to continue this series. However, there are some more deeper and darker subjects and plot lines in this series, so it is a bit more emotionally taxing reading this series, so I'm just trying to pace myself through it. And also they are quite big books. I mean, the last one I'm pretty sure is 700 pages, which is crazy. We will move on to our mystery / thriller section. The first series is The Academy. I've read book number 1, which came out in September, I think it was, of last year, and I quite enjoyed this. I definitely do want to read the second book probably around the time it comes out. The Thoroughbreds is the second book in the series. Again, I don't know whether it's going to be a duology or more books after this one, but it comes out in September. Next we have the One of Us is Lying series. These are YA books that I will read, and I do want to read other books by this author. I think they're all YA, but I really enjoyed this author. I read One of Us is Lying, I think that was when I was sort of around 16, 17, maybe even 18, and then I read One of Us is Next, I think last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I think because the third and final book in the series follows characters from the first book, it will again just give me that nostalgic feeling that will make me want to read it even though it's YA, if that makes sense. And also because it's a mystery slash thriller sort of thing, that usually, like if I read YA, it usually is YA romantasy or a YA mystery slash thriller. And then the next series is Guided. Now, even though despite what I just said, I don't think I'm gonna continue this series. This is a YA mystery, but it just felt a little bit too YA for me. I think if I read this when I was like 14, 15, 16 maybe, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And then next up we have the Housemaid series. But the Housemaid, this is 3 books. I read the first one and really enjoyed it. And then I think I started the second one, which is The Housemaid's Secret. And I think it was the wrong time for me to read that book. But now that I know that that book is going to be coming out towards the end of next year as a film, I want to read the book because I really enjoyed the Housemaid film. The last series that we're going to talk about today is the Perfect series. So I read and I did enjoy the first book, The Perfect Marriage. And it was actually one of the first books that I read on the Kindle that I have now, my Paperwhite. And I did really enjoy it, but I don't know if I'll continue the series. Mainly just because I don't really feel massively drawn to it. But then when I was like planning this video and doing some research, the second book did seem interesting. Like some of the other books in this video, it's not a priority, and it might just be like I've read, you know, a lot of other books, because there are so many other books I want to read that it might be that once I've read, you know, a big heap of them, that I might feel like picking up some of these books. So yeah, this is the series that I'm currently in the middle of reading. Obviously this is just a very small selection of all of them because I don't have a lot of my books at the moment, and then some of them are books that I'd read on my Kindle, so I don't own physically. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you guys soon.